Capitalism. Capitalism is great. Yeah. Capitalism is the driver for innovation, and it accelerates progress. Throughout the last 100 years, humankind came up with endless new solutions. Millions of jobs got created, and poverty levels decreased significantly. We're healthier, live longer, and have more than ever before in history. Capitalism. I know, you are waiting for the but. And you're right. The form of capitalism we're having today is about to ruin us. We're facing a climate crisis. And we know that Fridays for Future are telling us the truth. We need to act now. But today, I don't want to talk about what we can do, but I want to talk about what businesses can do. Because businesses play a massive role. And businesses lag far behind what they should be doing. Sustainability is still seen as a nice add-on. The business is doing its business, and afterwards you try to put a little green on it. Feels so good, this little green, doesn't it? So, I'm a typical Gen Y. So of course, after uni, I wanted to save the world with my job. So I applied as a sustainability manager. My first job was a sustainability manager at an online fashion retailer. Great people, good vibes. Me, very fresh in the working life, very motivated to have some sustainability impact. However, I had to learn that most of the sustainability system is broken. So this was a fashion company, and we visited several factories in China, Turkey, and Romania where clothes are made. And the relationship between Western companies and suppliers abroad is complicated, I would say. It was always us against them. They were trying to trick us, and we were trying to catch them. I rather felt like a sustainability police than a sustainability manager. So, for example, it is clear that we would not accept underaged workers or child labor, right? But since they knew exactly the day we, the sustainability team, would be coming, potential underaged workers would simply not have been there that day. Or that every young-looking person we asked in a factory how old they were exactly 17 years old, the age when you're allowed to work legally in that country. So what was the problem here? Was it that the supplier were just inhuman? No. The problem was the policies of my own companies, the policies that we have created. So what do I mean here? Let me give you some examples. So our company is based in Germany, or was, well, it still is, but I'm not part of it. So our company is based in Germany, and we were looking for suppliers in Turkey, because producing in Turkey is cheaper. But of course, we have social standards. So when first having contact with a new supplier, we sent them our code of conduct, saying, among others, that we would not accept overtime. Okay, fair enough. But what happened a week later? The new supplier got a call from our buying team telling him that they need the style ready in 2 weeks. Because in times of fast fashion, you need to have a new collection every 2 weeks. And my buying team added that, of course, if the supplier would not manage, we would need to switch suppliers. So here was the supplier's choice, either fulfilling our requirement of not doing overtime, or getting the order and probably lied to us about the overtime. I have another example, environmental issues. There are many green-minded suppliers abroad. We aren't the only ones who have a soft heart for humankind and a green planet. So there was this one supplier who approached us and suggested that he's planning to put some solar panels on the factory's roof. It would be a little investment, but then we would have green energy. Great. But guess what? A week later, our buying team called him and said that we are thinking of leaving him as a supplier if he's not reducing the price further. So that's capitalism. Soon, I didn't feel like I would be fixing the system, but I rather felt like the enemy within the system. The sustainability strategy and the business strategy don't go well together in fast fashion. What a surprise. But it's not only about this one company, or also the fashion industry. It's how sustainability is lived today in most companies. Choosing a supplier is mostly done on cost criteria, or probably quality, and then assessed whether the supplier is okay from a sustainability point of view. Maybe you add a nice project of donating books, just to put it in the sustainability report. But that's it. Within the system, everyone is like, yeah, we know this, but what can we do? So we have all these examples where the business strategy contradicts the sustainability strategy. I mean, it does not make sense that you have a green fashion line, but still have 24 collections a year and even burn new collections to have capacity for the next collection arriving. Also in the car industry, where all the sustainability engagement is going into reducing the CO2 emissions emitted by a car, but still launching a new SUV line, instead of implementing truly new mobility concepts. I mean, this is like a person doing a diet. The person eats a jar of Nutella every day, but he puts some pieces of carrots in it. And then he says that he's so healthy. And in the last year, he even increased the pieces of carrots from 2 to 4. No one would say that this person will be successful in his diet. We would ask him to rethink the daily jar of Nutella, right? So obviously, the system is broken. So we have two options here. One, just play along and leave the solution to someone else. Or second, radically change the way we are running businesses by putting sustainability on the same level as profits. We need to start asking the big questions and trying to understand the systems we are operating in. Is this capitalism really the best thing we can come up with? I hope not. So this is how the talk could end, right? But now is the good part coming. I don't work at this company anymore. So I'm part of a new company, and we're selling vegan condoms. Yes, you heard right, vegan condoms. And we're called Einhorn. And maybe you have heard about us. And at Einhorn, we try to put fairstainability, so the mixture between fairness and sustainability, on the same level as profits. So how does this look like? So when looking for a supplier, we are looking for partners in crime. Some of our partners we found in Malaysia. For condoms, you need rubber. Our rubber comes from Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we found Mr. Tan. Mr. Tan is a plantation owner. And with Mr. Tan, we wanted it all. A good partner for great products, doing it the fairstainable way. Yeah. But was it easy? No. Like in any good and lasting relationship, we needed time. First, we had to build trust. As Mr. Tan had his experience with a cost-first approach in global supply chains, he had no reason to trust us. There comes this little vegan startup company from Berlin with no money in the bank account and tells him that we would do everything differently? Yeah, sure. But with every visit, we earned a little bit more of his trust. Second, we didn't assume a thing and told him how to do things, but we asked questions, a lot of questions. Why is Mr. Tan using chemicals? How does he know when to use them? Is there an alternative for using these chemicals? What are the drawbacks of these alternatives? And are there any cultural aspects that affect the work on the plantation? These questions were not only trust-building issues, but they also gave us a lot of insights. Insights that we didn't expect, but maybe we should have, capitalism. So listen to that. It turned out that the major source of information on how to run a successful rubber plantation was this one book, a book that was given out for free to all plantation owners by the Malaysian Rubber Board a couple of years back. And it turned out that this book was published by a company called Monsanto. You might have heard about them. And it turned out that this book did not mention anything about eco-friendly alternatives. And third, the measures of success were not implemented by us, but they were created together with Mr. Tan. So, of course, we did not want to have glyphosate on the plantation. I mean, still, we're talking about your genitals here, so no glyphosate. But still, we first listened. And Mr. Tan told us about the benefits of using chemicals. Glyphosate destroys all the grass and the herbs growing on the plantation ground. So there is a guy putting just glyphosate on the plantation. And being in a tropical area, having high grass would attract snakes. So if you would leave the high grass, you might have snakes, snakes might be poisonous, and you might put the workers on risk. Damn it. Something we would have never thought about it. But we needed a solution, and we created it together. So it sounds like in the old days, but it worked. We hired someone to cut the grass by hand in the areas where the workers are working. Problem solved. So now you might listen to the stories and think, no. You might not think anything, because this is what comes later. At Einhorn, we're not only doing condoms, but we also do everything you want to do for or with the below the belly button line, your genitals. So we're also doing period cups, tampons, and pads. And with these new products, we did the same approach of putting sustainability in there right from the beginning. So we used our social technology, asking questions. Under which condition can we do throwaway items like pads and tampons? Are organic cotton tampons really better than conventional from a sustainability point of view? Is organic cotton enough for us, or is there an even more sustainable alternative out there? Sadly, these are questions you won't find in books. So we had to find all the answers ourselves. So imagine the first meeting with the supplier. Normally, in any manufacturing meeting, it's just about MOQs, minimum order quantities, the price, or probably the quality. But here we go, the condom company, getting their hands into period products for the first time, sitting there with the supplier and saying, yes, we would love to produce with you. And yes, we know that you offer organic cotton pads, but we want the next level shit. We want this one particular super duper fairstainable cotton supplier. Yes, it will be extra work, but we will do it together. And we would want 100% transparency when it comes to sustainability data. So some of it worked, and in some areas we're still working on it. New ways need time. So now comes this. So now you might listen to this story and think, oh, okay, only a small company having a small amount of suppliers can work with trust and sustainability. But let me be honest here. Actually, I think it's a lot harder for us as we are small. We are never the big player. The amounts we order are relatively so small that we need to convince the suppliers a lot more to do everything differently. You know what I think is the difference? Why we're succeeding? It's that 20% of our workforce is working on sustainability as their main objective. We're 20 people. 4 out of them work on sustainability. We hired people whose job it is to ask questions, and they get the time to do so. So let's take a company like Volkswagen. What do you think? What would this number be? It would be 130,000 people working on sustainability. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But maybe it's also what the normal standard should look like. Even the concept of having different CSR or sustainability departments is pretty strange, I think. Shouldn't sustainability be integrated in all business decisions? Shouldn't it be normal that you don't harm the environment or the people? When did we start to accept that this is how businesses are run? So, I'm standing here in front of you today not to show you how great Einhorn is. It is, but that's not why I'm here. I want to show you that it is possible to change how things are done. The glyphosate with Mr. Tan, the cotton, the transparency, they were impossible to think of beforehand. So we are also running a business, and we know it's hard, and there are other priorities to survive with a business. But I want to leave you with some good notes. There's even more in it for you than just saving the world. And it has to do with capitalism and humans. Most of the people nowadays lack motivation in their work. Work-life balance, feeling of emptiness, bore-out, burnout, depressions. Simple. People turn ill when they don't see meaning in what they're doing. I'm going to ask you a question now, and I want you to raise hands. So how many of you spend substantial time of your working day scrolling on a news page or Facebook, or if you're younger, Instagram? So how many of you? Okay. So either your boss is sitting next to you, or you're still a student, or you're one of the few lucky ones. So I give you my personal case. So at this online fashion retailer, because I was so bored, I spent the whole last month only learning capital cities of Africa. I'm a geek. Together with my colleague, as we didn't see any meaning in our job. And we're not alone in this. This masses of unhappy, unmotivated people sadly is normal. Studies show that 66% of the workforce in Western Europe lack motivation in their job. And 20% are even actively disengaged, meaning they're unhappy, unproductive, and likely to spread negatively to co-workers. So you might have heard of this whole industry selling table tennis to offices, yoga on offices, putting smoothie machines in there. But is this really working? Is it? I mean, who's asking all these questions I was talking about? Who is? It's us humans, the people working inside the companies. They're not motivated as they don't see a meaning in it. No purpose. All this would change if the business strategy would truly involve a purpose. And I don't mean a punchline like we will passionately reduce some of our CO2 emissions by 2025. Yeah. What an empty phrase. What an insult to humans and the planet. A purpose that truly motivates people is an honest ambition to not fuck up the environment or the people. Backed up by data, meaning it, committed to transparency. And you know what? If the business strategy would truly be headed by sustainability, you would not only motivate your people, but you would also save the millions you're spending yearly in recruitment costs and employer branding campaigns. So dear business leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners, start seeing sustainability as an investment and not as cost. Let people ask the big question. Let them improve your supply chain. Let them be part of the solution. And just by accident, you would help save the planet and build a capitalism made for the 21st century. So let's switch targets. The 10% growth rate is or was never appealing to anyone. But you know what is? A competition between companies to win the Nobel Peace Prize by 2020. Thank you.